Okay, attempt number 2 at the video, which got messed up because somebody tried to call me. Okay, let's make this quicker this time. First of all, I just got my first 3D resin printer a couple of days ago. After doing a lot of research online, I ended up going with the Elegoo Mars, which was the best for price point as well as quality and design, in my opinion, after watching a lot of reviews comparing it to the Photon and the Photon S. That's just my preference. You can make your own decision on that. I know Photon and Photon S has the name brand, but honestly, I think that they're riding a lot on their coattails. A lesson I learned a long time ago from a friend who used to build computers was he would use a motherboard until it won an award, and then he would stop using it. And I asked him why, and he said because as soon as they won an award, the demand for the motherboard that was of a good quality, that's why he used it in the first place, went far beyond their capacity to meet the demands, and so their standards for quality control went down to meet the number of orders. And so I feel like this is a similar situation with the Photon S, is they have the corner on the market for name recognition, and so they sell more, but that also means that their quality control is not as good because they're just trying to crank these out as fast as possible. And that's what I kept seeing in the reviews when they were testing these head to head. And that's why I went with the Elegoo Mars. First of all, it was cheaper. It had a better construction design, in my opinion, and it was just as good in every respect. So take that for whatever you will. I mean, you're just do your research, but that's what I ended up with. I got it for about $249 on Amazon. It is currently listing at $259, I believe. So I got it in just before the price went back up a little bit. But also, according to my friend Jason Dickerson, who's been very helpful in getting me started in 3D, he had tried several different resins, and he ended up with the Elegoo Mars gray resin, which he said was one of the best ones after trying multiple others. And I have to agree, and I ended up getting the resin that goes with the printer. I don't know if it's mixed in a different way so that the printer takes the most use out of it, but for whatever reason, that's the one I recommend. So if you get the Elegoo Mars on Amazon, look for the other Elegoo resins. He also turned me on to a program called Mesh Mixer, which is a 3D editing program, which if you have any Photoshop skills, you will pick this program up in no time. My first day, I had cobbled together 2 mechs. By my second day, I had completely restarted from scratch, redesigned whole torsos, and went through like a 10-hour day of just trying different things, hit a few dead ends, went back, started over. But that's the best way to learn. And then last night, I think I had like an hour and a half I spent on just throwing together an imp because I didn't like the version that was online. Which was strictly an Awesome's legs slapped onto a Jaeger mech's body. And I'm not sure where the arms came from, or a Thanatos arms, I believe. Anyway, I wanted to make it a little better. And I did that like in an hour and a half after getting the hang of it. So let me show you what I've done. As you can see in the video here, this is my desktop, and these are N scale, which is the scale I'm preferring to go to. Or actually, they're slightly smaller than N scale. They're somewhere in between. But anyway, this is the scale I go with because of most of my Gashapon figures and everything. So I don't know if you can see it very well, but this is a resin grasshopper that I bought from somebody online. This is also another resin charger, and they have a very hollow, they're very hollow and light and brittle feeling. They're not, I mean, they're very strong figures, but they feel brittle. I don't know of another way to say it. But then now this is my imp that I designed and just printed last night before I went to bed. It took about 6 hours, so I figured why not just go into bed. This thing has a slightly more softer texture to it. It's a little more, I don't know what's the right word to say. This one feels like you could put some pressure on it and it wouldn't break, whereas the other ones will snap. Now, I don't know whether that has to do with the resin, the curing, or whatever, but just telling you, mine came out of the printer and they looked fantastic, and I am very happy with the resin. Next to it, you can see this is a Gashapon trading figure of a Macross Destroyed Tomahawk, which you would know as a Warhammer. And that's kind of what I use as my basis for my scaling, because this is 70 tons. You can see here, this is my first proper print of my redesigned Lancelot. This is the Lancelot that my friend Jason printed for me. And you can see it's slightly thinner and a little shorter. I bumped mine up to 155% to get this one versus 150%. And then here's a Centurion at 50 tons. And you can see that as it goes up from 50 to 60 to 70, and then this is 80, 70. This one's supposed to be 100 tons, but I didn't try and make it too much bigger. I could, but I felt like the cockpit's already going to be like a small apartment. And it's roughly in scale. I think once it's put on a platform like the Charger, it'll look a lot better. But I'm really happy with these. The printer was fantastic. Some of the things that I didn't really realize when I first got the printer, because I followed all the online tutorials and things, and I went to try and do my first print, and it wouldn't print because I was trying to print an STL file, and then I was trying to print the Chidu box, which is the software that comes with this printer, which is the editing software where you prep it for print. And then I was trying to save the file format that was basically like your project, and I didn't realize you have to go through the final step of putting it in as a slice file, and then you save that, and then when you do that, the printer knows what to do with it. So lesson learned there. I may make a quick video on going through that. Anyway, Mesh Mixer is really cool. If you, I'm sure there's better tutorials out there. I've already watched a few, so I'm not going to bother to do that. But that's what I'm using right now, Mesh Mixer, and then I've got Autodesk NetFab Ultimate for doing some repairs and things like that. I'm going to try and get a proper 3D editing program and start building some things from scratch. But, you know, if you can cut and paste and stretch things like in Photoshop, you can use Mesh Mixer to really make your own mechs. And one of the great things you could do is like simple things like just cut the arms loose. And then if you want to print the arms separate, like I've done on my Lancelot here, you can make it so that you can put it together in pieces as opposed to a solid piece, which I just did this one for simplicity. I wasn't planning on reposing it. But you can chop that up so that if you decide you want to put like magnets or whatever and, you know, make your figure semi-posable, you could do that. But I hope this helps. I'm going to post this on my YouTube, and I'll make a link in the Battletech 3028 page so you guys can watch this. And I hope this answers a lot of your questions. Feel free to reach out for anything else. I've already had people hitting me up to make custom mechs, and I'm not sure my time availability on that. Depends on work. But anyway, here is my printer right there. And so it's not very big, and it gets the job done. And I just print it here in my office, and I leave it running, and I'm having a great time with it. And I want to thank Jason Dickerson for finally convincing me to do it, and for giving me all the help with how-tos and heads up on everything. And he turned me on to the Mesh Mixer and other stuff. So I hope you guys get your own printer. I hope you have a good time with it, and we'll talk to you later.